Hey, thanks everyone for listening. Before we get started, I just wanted to ask wherever you are listening from, please like and subscribe. It greatly helps the show. And also be sure to use coupon codes if you are on manscaped.com or ZBiotics. Manscaped.com coupon code is CYSTP. ZBiotics coupon code is SURVIVE. In the next couple weeks, I've got a lot of really cool guests. I've got an adventurer, an NDE survivor, a psychic, authors, veterans, psychonauts, and today I have an inventor. Let me know what you think about this episode. Shoot me a comment. Should I try out Tom Paladino's invention and his offer that he has for me? Let me know what you think in the comments, and here's today's episode. Welcome to another episode of Can You Survive This podcast? My guest today is an inventor and a scalar energy researcher, Tom Paladino. Welcome to the podcast.
Jeff, thanks so much. Thank you.
So I understand you have an invention to share with the world today. But before we get into that, can you tell me what is scalar energy? You're a scalar energy researcher and an inventor. What is scalar energy? What does the word scalar mean?
Yeah, well, in that context, scalar energy, it's the energy of the sun and the stars. It really is a coined phrase. This is a new and emerging branch of physics. So when we refer to scalar light, scalar energy, it's not electromagnetic energy. So what am I getting at? It's the initial energy of the universe, which is the point of origin is the sun and the stars. So it's, if you will, stellar energy.
Okay, so this is a little out of my wheelhouse, but how did you get into this field?
I read about the discoveries of Nikola Tesla, the great scientist. And it was Tesla who was first able to harness scalar energy, stellar energy, if you will. He called it radiant energy. And when I read his notes and I understood what he was doing, I said, this is it. This is the free energy we're looking for. It's clean, it's super abundant, it does not cause any chemical reaction. Scalar energy, the energy of the stars, is the future of technology.
You broke up a little bit. Did you say Tesla?
Yeah, Nikola Tesla was the original inventor of these instruments. Tesla discovered scalar energy to the point of engineering instruments.
Okay. And so correct me if I'm wrong, but Tesla, he was pulling energy kind of like out of the universe. It's different
Yes,
than electricity. Is that something that you're doing? Am I on the
yes,
right track here?
yes, that's it. Thanks. That's exactly it. Thank you. This is the free energy of the stars. And that's what Tesla was doing. He actually had two towers, one in Colorado Springs, in which he was able to extract full energy out of the atmosphere. He did not have a motor with that tower. There was no, if you will, armature. There was no moving part. He simply could capture the energy from the atmosphere.
Okay. So backing up, you read Tesla's writings when you were a young person. You became inspired. You wanted to learn about this energy. I think I've heard some people call it 0 point energy.
Right.
And do you have, what is your background? Do you have any kind of like scientific degree, or are you, what is your sort of
Yeah.
research expertise?
My expertise is I had a long career at the university level, and I studied various topics because I wanted a broad understanding of the science that I was getting involved in, and notably physics. But there came a point in my 30s that I said I have to do this on my own. So my research is groundbreaking. So to be clear, this is not taught by academia. This is so avant-garde, it's not yet been embraced by the scientific community. So that is, if you will, that was my story, and that's my backstory. I had the great fortune in the when I was 33 years of age to meet the Hieronymus family. Now, why is that significant? Hieronymus is the name of an American inventor who likewise had scalar energy instruments. So I was able to learn from this expertise of the Hieronymus family that had developed free energy instruments, scalar energy instruments. Now, notably, very few scientists have ever perfected this, if you will, this avant-garde approach. Galen Hieronymus, an American inventor, did indeed perfect this approach with free energy. So what I was exposed to was, if you will, a laboratory of free energy instruments. I was enthralled.
So, okay, so Hieronymus comes into the picture in your
Yes,
30s. You've already
yes,
read about Tesla. Hieronymus comes in. Who is he? Where
yeah,
did you meet him?
yeah. Well, by force of God, I was able to connect with his wife. He was deceased, and his wife, a woman by the name of Sarah Hieronymus, taught me this science, scalar light science, what the inventor called alloptic energy. It's not electricity, to be very clear with your audience. So I learned about this in theory by way of Tesla, and then in practice, I was able to work with Hieronymus free energy instruments, and that was my practical hands-on experience. Now, why is this so important? Because this is a new avenue. This is a new branch of physics, and you're not going to learn this in academia. You have to undertake private study. All of this is private research, private, if you will, study. And the engineers that I learned from were Tesla and Hieronymus.
Okay, so you meet Hieronymus and you get exposed to these
Yeah,
free energy instruments. What exactly did the instruments do?
yeah, that's a great question. So if there's two energies, electromagnetic energy and scalar energy, working with a scalar energy instrument, you're only operating in a scalar energy dimension.
Okay.
There's two dimensions, there's two realities. When you have a scalar energy instrument, you enter a wormhole, you enter into what would be a different dimension, and you're no longer subject to electromagnetic laws and principles. You're operating under scalar energy laws and principles.
Okay, so what do the instruments do though? Do they
Yeah.
power things? Do they create like an energy source to power a light bulb
They,
or
they, they do locally. I, this instrument is functioning.
oh
Locally, I can power a light bulb. For instance, if I hold a light bulb in my hand and place it close to the Tesla coil, I can work and illuminate a light bulb. So that's a free energy instrument. But right now, I'm not trying to harness this energy to power a city. I'm still working at the level of what I call quantum health or energetic health, which is quite unique. And I'll elaborate upon that.
yeah,
Right
please.
now, my
What is
focus is
quantum
on
health?
energetic, ener, energetic health, quantum health is working through a force field of a person. Now, keep in mind, this energy is non-physical, and we're not working with electromagnetic energy. So I'm not working at the chemical level. When I work with people energetically, I work through their photograph. A photograph is the force field. This is my photograph that has my energy field attached to it. People will actually email me a photograph and I access their energy field, their energy signature on the photograph. So the photograph carries the signal of a person, soul, mind, and body. Now,
So they just sorry to interrupt you. Just I just want to make sure I'm keeping up with you.
yep,
They send you a photograph
yes,
and you are able to use the photograph to do something to them
correct.
and you I'm assuming it's something involving the scalar energy instrument.
Yes,
And now for anyone listening who thinks this sounds crazy, I would say I'm going to stick with you on this because for example, I'm what's coming to mind for me is like have you heard of that Netflix documentary? I think it was on Netflix. There was a guy Dr. Yamamoto and you could like talk to water and by saying
yes,
different things to it the water molecules would change in different
yes,
ways based
yes,
on like things you said to the water. So I
yes,
understand that you can affect something at a distance even though it's hard for
yes,
my mind to hold that. I know
yes,
that is a real thing. So okay, so I'm just trying to keep up with you. So you got the photograph, you have
yep,
energy instrument, and then
Yes.
what exactly
Y-
what happens
y-
from there?
Your analogy is pertinent. Dr. Emoto was able to download or impart intelligence upon water, and that water assumed certain geometric patterns pursuant to the information that was imparted. Okay, so if you can impart information to a water, you can likewise impart information to a force field on a photograph. So let me slow down. Here's an analogy. I can see you in this computer. You're in my computer. We're having an exchange. I see your image in a computer. It's not you, it's your bilocated version. It's your telephonic version. Well, likewise, when I work with people, I don't work with them in the flesh. I work with them by way of their bilocated version, their energy field. So whether it's I see you in a force field on a computer, or I see you in a force field on a photograph, they're still force fields. They're still energy fields. Energy is fundamental. So working at this level of energy, I can access a person's aura, force field, energy field, 0 point energy because it's embedded upon the photograph. So a photograph object, every photograph carries a signal. I don't work with a person. I never work with people. I do not want to work at the biochemical level. I want to work at the informational level that's non-physical. I prefer to work at a non-physical setting because then I can achieve so much that I cannot achieve readily at a physical dimension, within a physical environment. So with that said, this is only possible with the scalar energy instrument. In order for me to access an energy field, I need a scalar energy instrument to access that energy field. That's the key to my work. It's, if you will, the engineered instrument that can access a scalar energy force field.
Okay, so when you say scalar energy instrument, what my mind initially thinks is it's like something I could have in my house to like power a fridge or like turn my computer on. But now you're talking about introducing a photograph and people's energy field. So what exactly does it do?
Right.
What is
So,
it doing to someone?
okay. So what is this doing? Everybody has an energy field, a scalar energy field. So when I access a photograph, I'm accessing their scalar energy force field. Now, for instance, let's say I'm suffering from this bacterium, Streptococcus. It's a common bacterium. In order for me to eradicate that or bring that signal to a state of chaos, I would do this. And keep in mind, it's all information. By communicating a photograph of Streptococcus with my photograph, the two energy fields communicate. We're always at the level of information. So the force field of Streptococcus is identified in my force field. This energy instrument will not only identify Streptococcus, but bring it to a state of chaos instantaneously. If I had Streptococcus, the instrument would find it in my force field and negate it. So you're not bringing it down chemically, you're negating the signal of Streptococcus.
So it's kind of like a negative plus a negative equals a positive, or like
Yes.
negative one plus negative one equals zero, and it
Yeah.
takes it out.
Yes. Thank you. We're negating the signal. If there's a signal and we hit it up with the anti-signal, it's negated.
Now I see some items behind you. You are in your workshop slash laboratory, I
Yes.
presume.
Yes.
You're putting these photographs together in order to heal someone, presumably, but where do the instruments come into play?
Yeah.
Is the instruments, does it have a feeder where the
Yeah.
photographs can
Yeah.
be put
I'll
into?
I'll demonstrate. At the end of the day, people send me photographs. I actually print them out and I place the photograph inside the instrument just alongside close by the Tesla coils. My photograph now is experiencing scalar energy. I've made a connection to my 0 point field, my aura, call it force field, call it what you will, by virtue of the fact that I'm in a local scalar energy environment. Again, to demonstrate this local scalar energy environment can illuminate a light bulb. Well, if I can illuminate a light bulb, I can illuminate my force field, and that's what I'm doing.
So
If that,
for
go ahead.
anyone listening who can't see, because we have more listenership, just on the audio side, he's put the photo into the kind of box, which is next to a coil, like a
Yes,
silver coil,
yes.
and it's your photo. And so, in theory, you could do something to yourself now. Can you feel something occurring to yourself, or well, what is happening right now?
Little tingling sensation in my brain and my, if you will. I
Really?
feel a little bit of a tingling sensation. Yes, but everybody's different. But yes, I can feel it. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. So, all right, if you're working with a
Pause.
client,
Go ahead.
okay, if you're working with a client and they send their photo, what are you mostly working on? Can you share that?
Yeah, sure. When a person sends me their photograph for 1 hour a day, I'll use this energy to balance their brain waves, their chakras. I'm going to hold up a diagram. This is a diagram, a hypothetical diagram of the seven chakras. Everybody, I believe, has seven chakras, which are scalar energy force fields. They're spinning scalar energy force fields. Now, when I place a person's photograph inside the instrument, what I believe the energy will do, it's self-directed, will balance a person's chakras, their force fields. Now, can I prove that? No, because a chakra is invisible. But I can prove it only by testimonies. And after working with people, people tell me they're happier. Some people have told me that they've been able to give up drugs and alcohol because perhaps we're rebalancing their chakras. They're no longer addicted to drugs and alcohol. Others will tell me that they're not only happier, but we've lifted their depression or they don't have this sense of anxiety. Others will say that they had a phobia, a fear, but they no longer have that fear. It's not so entrenched. Now, what's the point here? We're accessing the force field of the mind, which is non physical. We're accessing the force field of the seven chakras, which is non physical. This is not a biochemical reaction. I don't work at, if you will, at the biological level. I work at a higher level of information. And I choose to work at that level of cause, that level of information, because information, energy, is flawless. Energy is a first principle. Energy does not make a mistake. So I don't adjudicate anything. There's no human reasoning with this instrument. The energy is the healing component, not me. I am working with energy, a first cause that heals. I do not rely upon human reasoning or any biochemical reaction. I avoid human reasoning.
That's interesting that you said that it's balancing the brain waves. I did a lot of EMDR therapy, which I don't know if you've heard of that, but the kind of idea behind that is similar, where it's balancing. I don't know if I even explain this right. I'm not a doctor, but it's kind of balancing where the hemispheres of the brain, so that you're not too much in one side or the other. So that's what I thought of when you said that the machine is healing people in that way.
Yes.
Um, so how long have you been doing this? And just for anyone listening who's just like, this is totally crazy, are there like testimonials on your website? Like, how many people have you worked with? Can you
Yeah.
share any insight on that?
Yeah. How many people have I worked with? Well, today I work with 500,000 photographs. I receive photographs from around the world. In my lifetime, I've been at this now for 50 years. In my lifetime, I've probably worked with 200 million people because
Wow.
people can upload photographs. There's times when I will receive photographs from villages in Africa. Many people from a village will say place their photograph on a collage. I've received collages from India of 400, 500 people. So when you add up these collages, the numbers add up quickly. So, for instance, today I work with 500,000 photographs. Now, the point of my work is this. This is new. It's different. It's avant-garde. This has never been accomplished before, with the exception of my predecessor, Galen Hieronymus. Notably, back in the 40s, and actually in 1949, Galen received a U.S. patent for his instrument, a scalar energy instrument. And he described it as emanations, self emanations that resulted from any type of material. Galen could judge that energy was self emanating from materials, from physical matter. So where does that energy come from? Well, he described it as scalar energy, or what he called alloptic energy. So if the energy from the sun and the stars is flooding the universe, then all materials have that energy, and then they emanate it. Then, if you will, they utilize that energy for life function. Do I think that's a correct theory? Yes. How can you prove that? Only if you have a scalar energy instrument. This is a new science in which you cannot approach this by way of electromagnetic theory. Electromagnetic theory does not apply. There's two energies. So everything I do has to apply to scalar energy as a branch of physics and the laws that govern scalar physics.
Is it very difficult for someone to get their hands on one of these instruments? Did you
Yeah,
build your own?
in many ways I copied that of Galen Hieronymus. There are no more instruments. Nobody's manufacturing these instruments. At one time back in the 50s and 60s, Hieronymus was working with the medical community, but that ceased with his death. There's no more interest. Frankly, I think I'm the only one who's carrying on his work.
So what you have there behind you may very well be the only one of its kind.
Yes, that's correct. I think it's one of a kind because I've looked at the internet. Nobody is following up with his work. So yes.
Is there anything else that can be done with this? Because I think I've heard of this, even though I'm not by no means an expert in this field, not anywhere close, but I've heard that something like this could tap into basically unlimited, infinite, free energy, and you just pull it right out of the universe or right out of the air. So, can this be used for
Yes.
other
Yes.
applications, such
Yes.
as powering things
Yes.
or powering a whole city one day?
Yes. Yes. There's thousands of applications, and one of those applications is to, if you will, extract this energy into power a city. Now, if I can illuminate maybe 10,000 fold, 100,000 fold, and I'll be able to illuminate a city or a country, it is free energy. When I work with people, be mindful of this, there's no infrastructure. I simply tap into the energy field of a photograph, and regardless of where that person's aura, where that person's force field is, I can access that force field. What am I getting at? You don't need satellites or substations or cell phone towers. So this is free energy with the free infrastructure that's clean, super abundant, and flawless without any biochemical reaction.
You mentioned patents, and I've heard stories of, inventors over the years who it becomes quite dangerous for them. And sometimes their inventions get, hidden from the world
Yeah.
because, for example, like power companies may have a lot to lose from something like that. So, what do you think about that? Do you have any fear around anything like that, or?
I, I fear nobody. God is with me. I fear nobody. But to extend this science and to see the big picture here, if I can accomplish this as one researcher, imagine what we can do when people get involved and this becomes an industry. So without equivocation and to cut to the chase, scalar energy is a technology that will transform society. This technology, free energy, will change the energy industry. It will change the medical community. It will change telecommunications. It will change the social order. This energy, this technology will essentially make obsolete so many technologies today.
And has anyone from, I would presume, has anyone from, like, say, the government approached you? Is this like an application that the government would be interested in, or?
No, no, I've had no contact from anybody. And that doesn't surprise me because what I'm doing is so avant-garde. I really don't think they understand what I'm doing. But and not to their not to fault them. This is groundbreaking.
Are you putting your photo in there very often?
Well, every day, every day.
Really?
I am 64 years of age and I enjoy superior health because of this. I feel great. Yes,
You look very healthy and young.
thank you.
So you
And
put your photo in there and that's it, and it just makes you healthier? Or is there
yes,
anything else to it?
uh, there's a few manual processes. For instance, for 1 hour a day, I can work with vitamins and minerals. I'm going to hold up a magnified photograph of riboflavin. Now, this is how I receive my vitamins on a daily basis. I place my photograph in the photograph of thousands of people inside the instrument. And the energy or the intelligence, the force field of riboflavin communicates with the people. And again, we're only working at the informational level. So I receive and people receive the energy of riboflavin and they're happier, they're healthier. Many people say that this has improved their disposition, this has improved their digestion. Now, if it has, you cannot explain this by a biochemical process because obviously a photograph with energy is not a biochemical process. So my contention is you can either eat food orally or take a pill orally, or you can receive nutrition through energy. This opens up a new branch of nutrition to receive nutrition through energy, through intelligence, not by consuming any protein shake or eating food, but I can deliver nutrition energetically.
Okay, you said the word intelligence just now. And so I have a very bizarre, maybe bizarre question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You also mentioned earlier that you can just put the photo in the box on
Yes,
its own
yes,
and it will essentially do heal you or do good things for you automatically without a
yes,
photo of vitamin riboflavin,
right.
etc. So now you said the word intelligence. Is there some kind of intelligence to this energy? Why is it that you can put the photo in with nothing
Yeah,
and you still get benefits from that?
yeah, that's a good point. So what I've discovered, if I want to receive nutrients, I have to have an actual photograph of the nutrients. That's the instructions. That's the instructions. However, there's a new process that I've perfected over the past 3 months that I'll call to as a self-directed approach that sends energy into the aura, into the information field. And we're receiving incredible results. People with rheumatoid arthritis no longer have pain. People who had cancer are in remission. People who had autoimmune disease no longer have pain. I actually had back pain, and my back pain is abated. So we have this new process of divine intelligence, in which I don't use any photographs. The energy itself is so strong, so if you the people, in their words, they feel much better.
Okay, so now my other question is, if you can put a picture of the vitamin riboflavin in the box with someone's photo, what may occur then if you put something bad in the box with someone's photo?
Yeah, you'll still receive the energy of that bad chemical or that bad introduction. So that takes us to the point I guard my research. I won't let this out to the general public. This is very powerful. And again, to reiterate, today I work with 500,000 photographs. Well, I want to be responsible and I want to control this. And I'm not going to release this to the general public. I don't know what the general public's going to do with this.
Yeah, it seems I was gonna ask a follow-up question about what if this got into the wrong hands, what would happen? And to your knowledge, are there any defenses? Let's say someone didn't want their picture in the box, or they didn't want, you know, whatever is being introduced to them. Do they have any defense against that?
To answer your question, no. Why? Energy is fundamental. Energy knows no barrier. This energy will identify anybody's force field. If
Mhm.
you print out a person's photograph, that's their energy field. And working at a fundamental level, nothing can impede the energy. So your questions are valid and they're right on, spot on. This is why I'm reticent about releasing many of my notes and many of the notes of Dr. Hieronymus. This is not for general dissemination.
Um, I should have asked you this at the beginning, but does your invention have a name? What do you call it?
I call it the Ark of the Covenant. This is the equivalent of the Ark of the Covenant. If you look at the biblical account and you read closely, the Ark of the Covenant gave off light, energy, and it brought good fortune. Why? Because you can dictate nature. If energy, scalar energy, allows you to determine the outcome, that's what I do with my instrument. I determine the outcome. It's at the causal level. Well, the Ark of the Covenant brought the Israelites victory because it is at the level of cause. And the level of cause supersedes any effect or any accident or any intermediary.
So I was also doing a little research. I read somewhere, I heard that you have cured uncurable viruses using this. Is that true? And what evidence do you have of that?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I have a great deal of evidence of people that I've worked with who are HIV positive. And I'm going to explain this quickly and then I'll get to the theory behind it. This is a group in Delhi, India. It's the Om Prakash HIV AIDS Clinic in Delhi, India. I've worked with over 5,000 people in Delhi, India who are HIV positive. Again, I work with this AIDS clinic. How do I do that? I take a photograph of the HIV virus. Everything is done through photographs. And the energy field or the signature of HIV is identified in the people on their photograph, always working at the level of cause. So if I can identify the signature of HIV in a person's quantum field, I can eradicate it. Succinctly, if a person has the signature of HIV, I bring that HIV virus to a state of chaos, energetic chaos, not chemical chaos, energetic chaos. Now, after working with these people, they tell me they no longer have a viral load. Some people have gone as far to get a PCR test, and their PCR test, after I work with their photograph, invariably, the people do not have a viral load for HIV.
So is this on your website? Can people
Yes,
find this? And
yes.
do the people at Om Prakash in India, do they have any of this information on their website too?
I don't think they do because they submit all the test results to me and I've compiled those results. But if you're ever in India, you can speak to 4 or 5,000 people who've gone through our program in New Delhi. And the people have wonderful testimonies. Now, can I prove that to the medical community? No, because I'm never working at the biological level. I'm only working with photographs of people. So I can prove this from my laboratory from an energetic standpoint. I can detect the presence of HIV on these people in India, and then I can detect the absence of HIV. The instrument can detect a virus or the absence of a virus on the photograph. But again, I've never worked with a human being in my life. So my work is always going to be at the level of information, never at the biochemical level.
And for anyone that's listening, just so you know, if you're not watching the video and you're just listening, he was holding up a photo of people from Om Prakash in India, in New Delhi, with a sign saying that they were healed with the scalar energy. So how does I'm just like kind of baffled at the science, and I'm sure many listeners are too. How exactly does what does the machine do to be able to communicate with, and I'm using vocabulary that's even out of my league here, but this machine that you've invented is creating with the quantum field.
Yes.
How is it doing that?
This is the key. With a scalar energy force field, you enter into a scalar energy field. This instrument is no longer operating with electromagnetic energy. We're no longer in an electromagnetic force field. We're in a scalar energy force field. So the physics allows for communication with a photograph. For instance, if I place my photograph in a refrigerator or a computer or an airplane, it would do nothing. That's not a scalar energy force field. If once I place my energy field in a scalar energy force field, it's a different physics and different things then will happen to my photograph as opposed to electricity and magnetism. So the key is the instrumentation and placing a photograph inside that force field of scalar energy.
It's very interesting to me how you even figured this out to put a photo in
Yeah,
to make this all work.
that
For anyone,
that's that's been 50 years of work. Now, I've been at this for my life, and Galen Hieronymus, my predecessor, was at this for probably 60 years of his life. So you're absolutely right. This is painstaking to understand this process, and sometimes it's trial and error to find out to actually adjudicate what works, what does not work, takes a great deal of experimentation.
Did you just kind of, was your intention when working with the instrument to, was it always to heal people, or were you also just curious what this could do and you knew something was there and you just wanted to see what it was? And this is what you found.
When when I started working with the Hieronymus family and I used their instruments, I had a bronchial congestion. In 1 hour, I cleared it. I worked on myself, and 1 hour, my bronchial congestion cleared. And the family predicted that, so they made me a believer. So I said to myself, "Well, this is pretty incredible." Then I started working with family and friends, and their bronchial congestion cleared, so to speak. So I knew I was onto something fabulous. And therefrom, I've just expanded upon their work, upon my work, and here we are today. Saying I'm to the point where I can work with 10 million photographs a day and improve the quantum health of those 10 million people in some measure.
And are 10 million people sending you photos, or are some of those like, how do you get 10
No,
million photos a day?
that that yeah, that's my projection now. Today, I work with only 500,000 photos. How did I do that? Well, from people from around the world send me group photographs. And over the years, I've amassed these photographs. So on any given day now, I'm working with 400, 500,000 photographs because people around the world have heard about what we're doing. They hear about this great success. And many times people will send me a collage of 100 or 200 photographs. Well, if you receive 1,000 photographs a day, it doesn't take long before you're working with 500,000 people.
For anyone who is just very skeptical right now, what do you say to them? How do they prove this for themselves?
Yeah. There's only one way to prove it, and that is by way of an anecdotal experience. We offer 15 days of free sessions on our website. Now, to be clear, my work is unique. The instruments are unique. Nobody's ever duplicated my work. This is a new science. Nobody has ever, if you will, followed yet in my footsteps. I'm at the vanguard of this movement. So I have no peer. There are no peer-reviewed papers. There will not be peer-reviewed papers probably for the next decade. I can guarantee you that. So what's the point? You have to try it. Sort of like a restaurant. If the food is good, go to the restaurant and sample the food. If you like the food, it's good food. It's that simple.
Okay, so for the skeptics out there, they can go to your website and get 15 days for free and see how they feel about it. If anyone out there takes up the 15-day free trial, feel free to send a comment and let me know if it works. I would love to find out. My question as well is, after the 15 days, do you find yourself with a lot of repeat clients who then continue the work?
Yes, yes, why it works. After 15 days, people will decide how do they feel. And many people will go about this in a rather judicious fashion, and they'll say, yes, something has changed. I've seen a shift in my health. That's what I want. I take on a grassroots movement. That's so important to me. And that is indeed happening.
I guess it can't hurt to try if you get 15 days free. So if anyone out there, if anyone's listening and you try it, please send me a message and let me know how it goes. Um, so maybe we leave it there, but before we do, let people know, what is the website? Where can they get the free trial? Where can they find you? What else do you want people to know about you before we wrap up?
The website is scalarlight.com, SCALAR, scalarlight.com. Anybody in the world can visit the website, email us your photograph. The age of the photograph doesn't matter because your energy signal stays with you for your entire life. And every day we're going to eradicate microbes, we're going to download the energy of nutrients, and we're also going to balance your chakras every day. The instruments are operating 24 hours a day. You're going to receive a lot of energy. You're going to feel it. You'll probably feel enlivened. This is probably going to invigorate you. Many people say within the first 2 days, their dream state improves. They have greater clarity of their dream recall, greater dream recall.
Mhm.
Their sleep is uninterrupted. Many people say that they're calmer. Well, that would stand to reason if we're balancing brain waves and chakras. But the only way you can adjudicate this, you've got to try it.
Amazing. Well, I would love to, have a follow-up with you at some point, either, if you have anyone that uses it that wants to share, please come on, or, if
Please.
you have any like developments where you find new applications for this, because I would love to see you like figure out a way to power the entire world for free. That'd be beautiful.
That's one of my grace of God. And we're going to liberate mankind. Scalar energy is a technology that will liberate the world. Free energy, this will remove the shackles that we have. Free energy will liberate humanity.
Beautiful. Well, please keep in touch with me. If you have any updates, please come on the show again. And thanks for coming on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Bye.